So Twitch banned her. Uh-oh. Let's find out why.
Hello, guys. I have been suspended from Twitch for 7 days.
Good job, retard.
Why? I'm
Good job,
not
stupid.
so sure. On April 7th, I watched I Exposed Texas's Indian
Okay.
Invasion by Tyler Oliveira with chat. The VOD was deleted by Twitch.
Wow.
So I can only assume my suspension is related to that. And this suspension in particular...
It's crazy how people like that try so hard to remove anybody's voice that's disagreeing with it. And the reason why they try so hard... No, we're going to watch the video. We're going to watch it. Probably tomorrow. That's what I'm thinking about. Probably tomorrow. But we will be watching it. Don't worry about it, because I've held off on it. It's going to happen. And that being said, why is it that you're afraid of other people saying this stuff? Why is it that the only way that the ecosystem of this being okay can be preserved is if you literally remove everybody else's ability to talk about it? Because this is one thing I've noticed, like whether it's like identity stuff, whether it's like immigration stuff or anything else, the only environments that these ideologies can exist in are the environments where they're protected. Like they can't exist as a species inside of an ecosystem. They have to be in a reservation. And it's because the ideas are horrible. Nobody agrees with any of this stuff. It's just being pushed, and you create a false consensus around it by banning anybody who doesn't agree. It's embarrassing.
Seems a bit much.
It's retarded.
7 days. However, this isn't my first time being suspended on Twitch.
Ooh.
But even that previous suspension felt unreasonable. So let me give you the details on that. On January 19th, I used a widget to combine chat from Kick and Twitch.
So if it was January, though, that means that it was over a year ago. Oh, I guess maybe it was 3 months ago. Like, let's just, I don't know if it was 3 months ago. Yeah, it was probably 3 months ago. Never mind.
I received a warning from Twitch and immediately stopped using it in my streams moving forward.
Yeah.
A week later, on February 4th, they suspended me for 1 day for the same reason and deleted the VOD. If I had known leaving the VOD published was a problem, I would have taken care of it.
Wait, so are you telling me that she got suspended because she didn't delete the VOD? So she got a warning, and then she stopped using it, but because the VOD wasn't deleted, then they turned around and suspended her afterwards? Oh my god. How fucking retarded is that? Double jeopardy. That's what they call it.
But they never provided any directions on how to fix the problem. I just assumed that as long as I stopped using the widget in future streams, it showed that I understood the warning and fixed the issue.
I mean, that's obvious bullshit. It is. It's obvious bullshit. I mean, why would you even do that? And also, like, if you give somebody a warning and you tell them that it's actionable content, why wouldn't you just remove it yourself? I mean, just click the delete button.
Apparently, that wasn't good enough. And to make matters feel a bit more silly, on February 24th, Dan Clancy announced that Twitch will no longer enforce against streamers with combined chats.
So basically, she did nothing wrong, and then they even changed the rule a month later, but they're using the rule that they had removed, and the fact that she violated it once, that they punished her for twice, now is a justification to ban her for a third time for an unspecific reason. I think they just don't like what she's saying. I think that's what's going on. Obviously, that's what's going on.
In this, this is something that in most cases we had not been proactively managing or policing putting combined chat on screen, but it was the case that if a report was made, then we were issuing warnings. And that was what happened recently
you got a
for
suspension too.
And I don't think, in hindsight, we've definitely heard the feedback. And so to be clear, we are updating our enforcement guidelines to make sure we are not issuing enforcement actions for integrating combined chat on the video from your stream, such as what happened to Giguk and what he was doing when he received the warning. Now, it's important to note the streamer is still taking responsibility for what happens in the chat from third-party platforms, since we don't control that. So sorry about the confusion. Thanks for the feedback.
Sorry about the confusion implies that that was always the rule. Because confusion implies that people had a false perception. What's going on here? I mean, why are we, I mean, bro, yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. What's this?
Fast forward to today around 1 a.m. I received a 7-day suspension without any specifics as to what I did wrong.
How fucking retarded.
The only thing that I do know is that it falls under hateful conduct, but...
Exact same thing that I got in trouble for too. Exact same thing.
Other than that, I was not given any specifics, so I apologize. I cannot tell you any more than that. I also did not receive any warnings.
It's retarded.
I submitted an appeal, which currently shows the status accepted, so I am waiting to see if I receive any emails about that. As a Twitch partner, I am incredibly disappointed in their inability to properly communicate with their streamers, and I know I'm not the only one who feels this way.
What's confusion?
So for the time being, I will stream exclusively on Kick until the suspension is over. YouTube shouldn't be impacted in any way, and the uploads will continue as planned. For streams, I'll be live on Kick Monday through Thursday, 12 to 3 p.m. PST. Thank you for continuing to support me, and I hope you have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Well, there it is. I guess, I mean, this is the way I see it, right? Is that, like, number one, I agree. I think it's a good thing. And also, I think that the more people that are multi-streaming, the less power that places like Twitch have by enforcing these stupid moderation actions. And I think Joy watched 2 videos of that stream. One mentioned video and the other video after me getting banned. So she watched my video of getting banned, and then she ended up... she ended up getting banned for that. You think that's it? Have you contacted Dan directly? I mean, he's pretty hands-off from what my understanding is, and I really haven't. I mean, the thing is, like, he knows what my complaints are. I mean, he doesn't, it's not like he doesn't know. I think that the problem really is that, I mean, I don't think that he, I mean, if you want me to be honest, like, I don't think he really gives a shit. I think he just wants to run the company, and he doesn't really care a whole lot about what moderation is. Like, he looks at it, he's got a big picture here, and moderation is, like, right here, and he's not, like, really caught up with it. That's basically what I think. He doesn't care. I don't think he makes it a priority. Because it's very, very obvious that there is a massive bias. And I think that there's a bias with me. I think that, you know, Powder experienced a bias. I'll link you guys the video. I totally support her with this. And I think that it was completely unfair. And he's going on a regular basis. Well, I'm not, look, I'm not going to get into that. Like, I have no idea about that at all. He just wants to go into e-thoughts. I don't know about that. I don't want to make any, you know, like, assumptions. I think that's not, you know, appropriate. But my point is that, in general, I do think that the enforcement for it is completely the video that got me banned on Twitch, and this is her upload of it. And it's just fucking embarrassing. It really is. It's absolutely fucking embarrassing, and I don't know why anybody would put up with this shit. I think that it's absolutely completely unfair. And hopefully now that more people are multi-streaming, you're going to have a lot less people that are, you know, putting up with dog shit garbage like this. And I'll read some of the comments about this on my Reddit and see what it is. Watch the Texas video. I will at some point. If Hassan didn't exist, you'd never be banned. I don't think that's true. I mean, I think that here's the reality is that a lot of tech companies, the leadership and the moderation has been taken over by what I think are radical extremists. I do, and I think they are anti-American, anti-Western radical extremists. And the inability of a lot of companies to not hold them accountable and remove that has caused them, and basically a hands-off approach has allowed them to enforce moderation actions based off of a political bias rather than off of a sound ideological foundation. And so what's happened is that you've had, and the only place that's not like this is Twitter. Twitter, because Elon owns Twitter, lets you do and say whatever the fuck you want, basically. And that's the one place where all of those people got fired. And I think that what companies are going to start to realize is that those people are massive detriments to the company. And on a very fundamental level, they don't care about the company. They don't care about your business. They don't care about your product. They don't care about anything that has to do with you. The only thing that they care about is using your product, using your business, using your service as a vehicle that they can weaponize to push the viewpoints that they have. I find this to be incredibly problematic. I dislike it entirely. And I think the entire mindset around it is very, very, very toxic because you're basically co-opting something, you're taking advantage of it for your agenda, and then afterwards, you don't care about whether it negatively affects the product or not. They're self-destructive ideological. Well, they're not self-destructive. They're not destroying themselves. They're destroying other things. They're just destructive. They're not self-destructive. Well, they are self-destructive, but that's for another reason. So, I think this is a big issue, and I don't know why more companies don't realize this, and I think that now they are, and you see more and more companies just simply ignoring these like Twitter outrages, etc. But I think that really it's just you have these hysterias that happen where these people make a lot of noise, and they're taken seriously because they're making a lot of noise. I don't actually think it makes any effect on people. I don't think that their upsetness or anger or frustration really manifests into anything. And I think that companies need to do a better job at not hiring them. And that's not even enough. I think the companies need to go through and do like a purge of like all of these people at these companies and remove them. Anybody who's seen as using the company as a vehicle for a political message or for an ideology, all of these people should be getting removed. And this isn't for Twitch particularly, it's for every company. And the reason why is because very simply, they're co-opting your company and they're using it for their agenda. And this is what people like this do. And I think that the more of them there are at a company and the more socially acceptable it becomes, the more that those people just simply outwardly state that. They just say that themselves. They say, this is what I'm doing and that's why I'm doing it. Sounds like you and Twitch. Well, I mean, I do think Twitch has allowed this to happen because, I mean, there's no universe where she gets a 7-day ban or I get a 7-day ban for saying this, but other people don't get banned at all. It's complete. It's a complete inversion. And very clearly there's a double standard going on. Hijacking a metaphorical microphone to shout their bullshit. Well, that's the only reason they can have their bullshit is because in an open ecosystem, it gets rejected every single time. So the only way they can create consensus for something is if they manufacture it. Because they can't create consensus at a ballot box. They can't create consensus inside of an ideology. They have to force consensus. And the way that they force consensus is by importing a bunch of immigrants and also by rigging things. They're not saying they're rigging elections. I'm sure some cases they do. And really bringing in people to pad out the voting records is rigging. But I think that that's also what they do. And before midterm elections, well, yeah, I think that'll be another big issue. And check Powder's last tweet. She used the power of her adjustable model to get unbanned. I did actually see that on Twitter. How is it racist to recognize except the Indians are using USA's resources for themselves and it's disadvantageous for American citizens? Well, it's racist because the people that are doing it want it to happen. See, and this is the problem, is that a lot of people don't recognize what's happening. The reason why they're doing it is because they agree with it. The purpose of the purpose of the system is what it does. So the moment that you have a system that creates an outcome that allows people to get silenced for, or, you know, funds a bunch of illegal aliens or, you know, like nepotism for, you know, Indians or something like that, that's the reason why they're doing it. They're doing it because that it works. It's that simple. Powder was unbanned? Yeah, I saw she was unbanned. They're targeting a certain group of streamers, it seems. Yeah, and that's exactly why. It's because of the stuff that I say. Twitch is digging their own grave. Well, I think that it's moving in that direction. And I think that you can see that verifiably, that Twitch is losing its monopoly on streaming. And I think that, honestly, maybe this isn't true. But I think that if Twitch wasn't losing as much market share as it was, I would have already gotten banned. I do. I think people like me would have already gotten banned. But the reality is that nowadays, Twitch is already losing a lot of market share to begin with, and they don't want to get rid of more people. It'd be way worse. Yeah, if Twitch still had 100% market share, and there was no YouTube, Kick, or Rumble streaming, I think that would have been banned last year. For sure. And thank God that we have an actual free market. Thank God. And again, like, it's not that I'm that important, but it's that doing something like that would represent that there's a problem and it would cause more people to leave. Because every single time that a big streamer gets banned or suspended or anything, every other streamer sees that and they think to themselves, what if it's me? What if I'm next? Even if they didn't do anything bad, that opinion is out there, and it reminds them that if this is your only ship, it's better to have a few lifeboats too. So that's the reason why. Free market is actual freedom? Yeah, that's why they want to get rid of the free market. Lamau, you don't know Indians working at Twitch. Of course, they want to let shit get out. I don't know if they are or not, but I'll be watching that video too, so we'll see. It should be mandated that Twitch states the exact reason for a ban and no vague reasons. I do think that if social media companies want to enforce ideological bans, that they should lose a degree of, like, protections. Like, a lot of the Section 230 protections that social media companies have are hinged on the platforms being platforms and not publishers. And I think that if a platform is instituting and doing bans based off of ideological things, that they are now crossing into the threshold of being a publisher. And that's what I would do. Like, if I was Trump or I was, like, in charge of the government, that's what I would do. I would look at a smaller company, like maybe Twitch, maybe like an even smaller one that bans people for, like, ideological reasons. And then I would just simply take away their protections, and I would say that you're not a platform, you're a publisher. And so now you're accountable. And I guarantee you that that would terrify every other company, and then they would change their policies. That's what they should do. Like, I'd do it to Blue Sky, probably. Yeah, I think Blue Sky would be a really good example. And if they're policing editing, they're publishing. Yes, exactly. Is changing government equals king? Well, I mean, what do you mean by that? Make an example of it? Yeah, or Reddit. Yeah, or something like that. Because, again, Section 230, you cannot have social media without Section 230. So taking away Section 230 effectively kills the website. And I think that they should do that. I think that they should do that to set an example, because we do have a huge problem of these social media companies. It's obvious that social media is a tremendously powerful resource nowadays. So with it being so powerful, how is it that it's acceptable that it's in the hands of people that are making biased decisions and trying to enforce a narrative? You shouldn't have that happen. There should be accountability. And I think there should be. That's what I would do. More viewers are just going to move to moving to Kick as multi-streaming becomes more popular. Yeah, I mean, I think that's true too. I mean, obviously it's true. And I think more people will move to Kick, they'll move to Rumble, they'll move to a bunch of different platforms. I think that's normal. Democrats will complain about your completely logical point, but they loved whenever Twitter was being controlled by Biden's admin. Again, people don't hate control, they want to have the control. People don't hate the police, they want to be the police. People don't hate fascism, they want to be the fascists. People don't hate rules, they want to make the rules. Like, as soon as you understand this inversion, you can understand people's intentions. They don't actually care about this one way or another. The only thing that they care about is being able to weaponize it. That's it. And so, really, streamers have more power than shareholders. You're like a shareholder. Well, yeah, I mean, enough people do, right? I mean, if one person does it, stream my Kick, 7-day Twitch ban, yeah, I want to break anyway. Like, it's pretty fucking simple, right? And so anyway, yeah, that's the way I feel about it. I think it's fucking ridiculous, and I'm glad to see that more people are realizing it.